What's going on YouTube? My name is Mr. Crippled, and today I'm going to be talking about the newest god coming to the game, Aladdin. Now, before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you'd like to keep up with any future content, I will be leaving a link to my Discord in the description below. Now, I just had to come out and talk about this character. Right now I'm on the playtest, so he's not officially out yet, but looking at his kit, he's interesting. He's definitely cool, first of all. Just how his kit works. He has a Prince of Persia type wall run. He has long range abilities, and he's a melee character. He's also a hybrid, but he's magical damage. So he's like this game's Al Kwong right now. And he has probably one of the best ults that I've been asking for since Smite 1. But before we get way too deep into it, I want to go ahead and start talking about what his base kit is. Now, first of all, his passive. His passive is a little bit convoluted. I'm going to try to explain it in the most simplest way possible. Now, first and foremost, if you notice in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, traditionally, every god in the game can build a total of, I believe, seven items. Their starter and then six items. Aladdin can only build a starter and 5 items, because his passive takes up one of them. Basically, he starts off with a genie's lamp, and you get to make 3 wishes throughout the game, each one giving you a specific bonus or boost depending on depending on which choice that you make. Now, the first 3 wishes that you get, first of all, it takes up one of your active slots, so you just press your active button, whatever that is, and he gets access to 3. The first one being just wealth. You gain 250 gold, and then for the next 3 minutes of the game, any kills or assists, you gain an extra 100 gold. If you're the jungler and you're fighting a lot and you're getting a lot of kills, you're going to get a lot of value out of that if you manage to kill a lot of people in 3 minutes.
Is under attack.
Granted, you do have to be basically on a roll. This seems like one of those items those wishes that you probably wouldn't use until maybe the 5 or maybe even like the 10-minute mark when you actually have your kill potential up. The second wish is immortality. This basically just gives you a free revive. You die, you get wished back to life, and then you gain 75% extra movement speed for 10 seconds when leaving the fountain. So you come back to life immediately. I don't know if it's going to be at the spot or if it's going to be at the fountain. From what it sounds like, it's probably going to be at the fountain. But you gain a bunch of extra movement speed on top of the movement speed you gain from leaving the fountain initially anyway. So you can basically get right back into the fight pretty quickly if you're fast enough or you built a lot of movement speed. And then the third wish is basically just strength. It resets all of your cooldowns. That's basically all it is reset your cooldowns, and I believe it gives you a intelligence and strength buff. That way, you can dump your kit and then immediately dump it again. There is a secondary part to his passive. He has 2 genie charges. And if you look above his character model, you can see 2 glowing eyes. Those are your genie charges. Basically what they do is they enhance every single one of your non-ultimate abilities by giving it a secondary ability. I'll go over every single one of what that necessarily does for each one. But let's go ahead and go over his one. It's a long-range move. It is chargeable. You gain, as you can see, these 5 projectiles come onto the screen. And if it gets to the center, they all do more damage. You're basically your long-range clear move, right? If you cast it early, you shoot 5 shots, they don't really do too much damage. If you let it charge and reach max, it does significantly more. Ding, you're double. So definitely want to be using that. The secondary part, if you decide to use a genie ability, or when your genie charges, it makes the genie shoot the projectile back at you. Can really help with boxing if you manage to hit the wave, so it can clear extremely quickly. You can burst down somebody very quickly if you get them between both of these shots. So, and it's fairly quick too. Does a crap ton of damage. I'm not entirely sure if it just does it for that. Let's see. Yeah. So if you don't charge it all the way up to get the singular shot, and then you press the genie charge again, it will send those 5 shots backwards too. I don't know if it's necessarily worth it to do it like that. It just makes it to where it's a shotgun blast, a long-range shotgun blast, so it doesn't do as much damage as just charging it all the way up. But I guess you can use it for like petty little last hits. But in my opinion, you're probably better off just waiting for the full charge if you're going to use the genie charge on it. The secondary ability is his dash ability. This ability is cancelable. You don't have to go to full range. He also, what do you call this? It does more damage based off of how low their health is below 50%. Basically, think about it as an execute. If you want to use it when their health is below 50, that way the ability's damage scales up. Reason being as well that you want to wait until that is because if you use a genie charge on it, there's going to be a little cone in front of you where the genie will punch 3 times. And I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like now. So the dash does that, and you can see this little reticle. Again, you get, well, I guess it's dang near more than 6 or 3. It's 5. He hits you 5 times. So, and that does scale with the dash, dealing more damage the lower their health is. The last thing I want to talk about is his 3, and it's really cool. So, if you don't do it on anything, it's just a little dash, doesn't really do much, kind of looks useless. And if I'm looking, let me go ahead and reset the cooldown. If I'm looking, it doesn't even do damage. Okay, so you're probably wondering, so what's the point of this ability if it's not meant to do any damage? Well, that's where you're wrong. It is meant to do damage. The problem is that you have to hit a wall first. And depending on how you have it angled and where you hit the wall at, depends on the angle that he runs it at. So, you could do something cheeky, use this ability on the wall, and then jump down. And when you jump back down, the splash does the damage.
Your middle tower is under attack.
And it does a pretty decently huge amount too, at 250 plus 80% intelligence scaling plus 65% strength scaling. And then if you press the ability button again, the genie will also land at that same spot. So, let's say if you do this, and
you have slain
might be
an
bugged.
enemy.
This is still in the playtest, so it's not. Actually, hold on. Let me see something. May have did it wrong. So if you do this,
Let's go.
there we go. So you have to do it while you're on the wall. If you do it while you're on the wall, you slam down with the genie and you get a knockup, which is crazy because it makes his turnaround potential when fighting somebody in lane that much more scary. Or if you're trying to close distance and they're along the wall, you can do that instead and catch them. And then keep in mind, he also still has this dash ability as well. So he has insane amounts of maneuverability. And then plus, as you can see, I have no items on. And his cooldowns aren't that long for what they do. So that's already crazy in itself. But my favorite thing about this guy is this ultimate, Into the Lamp. Now, if you've ever played League of Legends, there's a character called Mordekaiser on there, where his ultimate forces somebody into a 1v1. That's what Aladdin's ult does. If you hit the first enemy god, you're transported into this area, and you're forced to fight each other in a one-on-one. I had to lead the practice to kind of basically explain everything that happens, because there is a lot that goes on in the ultimate, which is a little bit weird. Basically, first of all, you and the person you hit, your health is restored to a minimum amount, right? You heal up to 80% of your health, the enemy gets up to 40%, okay? You both start at 60 at level 1, but as you level up the ability, you gain more health while they gain less. You also have your non-ultimate cooldowns reset Well, they have their non-ultimate cooldowns halved. And then it leaves the lamp behind, and then you can, it's weird, honestly. After that subsequent usage, you can jump back into the lamp after challenging somebody with the ult, but other people are also allowed to jump into the ult, and then you can only leave after being in there for about 8 seconds, at a max of 16 seconds, I believe. But to be able to leave, you had to interact with the lamp, and then it takes like half a second for you to get pulled out. But it is interruptible if you get hit. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's basically putting somebody into a boxing ring, and you have to fight that person. And it's probably my favorite ult in the game so far. It's just such a very interesting concept that I'm very interested to see how it's going to be implemented in real gameplay. I know content creators like Weekend have already put out some gameplay for it, but you know, this being the playtest, there's going to be some finalizations that are going to be coming to the base game that there could be some changes with that, so I wouldn't take those as too much of a grain of salt. There are a couple issues with this character that I'm already seeing, if I'm being 100% honest with you. One, having to rely on the genie charges is going to make it heavily reliant on using the right ability at the right time. In my opinion, if you're going to be jungling with him, which is probably going to be his primary role, you're probably only going to be using the genie charges on his 2 and his 3, and not really on this line attack here, because you're going to want the extra close-up damage with the genie or the knockup. The other thing is that even at full build, he doesn't seem to hit all that hard. Now, granted, this is only jungle practice. This is very first impressions, and I'm probably going to end up be playing more of this if I get the opportunity to. However, right now, it doesn't seem like his damage numbers are all that high. And with that being said, he also seems a little bit slow, if that makes sense, even if he has all this mobility. His abilities just seem to take a lot of time and a lot of setup. I can imagine the 1 being his primary source of damage if he's not jungling. If he is jungling, your other source of damage is probably going to be either the 2 or the 3, but you're going to have to level the 1 first because that's his best clear move so far. Plus, it is on the lowest cooldown, so you're probably going to level it first anyway. So, his highest damaging ability takes the longest to come out. So, there could be some struggle with his early game, and because of how complicated his game plan is and when to use those genie charges and the wishes that you get throughout the game, he definitely seems to have a very high skill ceiling, which is very appreciated. This is actually exactly what I've been asking for, and having something to be a little bit different. He seems to have a lot of potential, especially in the 1v1 aspect. I could just imagine diving in on the enemy backline, fighting somebody, either managing to get the kill or not, and then forcing a 1v1 on somebody else and getting a massive heal out of it, and then being able to potentially kill that person that you're looking at. So he definitely seems to have a lot of potential. I honestly believe he's probably only going to be a jungler, especially since his autos are all close range, and close range autos in a laning phase just seems kind of honestly, it seems kind of difficult. The only other place I can see him being is that he does seem really good for solo lane. Having all this CC, forcing 1v1s, meaning he can take a tank out of the fight and potentially kill them. Since he has so much dive potential, him being a frontliner, well, it seems very, very likely. Plus, him being a primarily auto or close range fighter with multiple long range abilities, he can compete in a lot of poking wars that a lot of other warriors can't do. Plus, since he has hybrid scaling, he's going to be able to have access to cards that other solo laners that are primarily physical scaling characters will not normally have. So I can see a lot of potential in him, and he's definitely very interesting. Let me know what you guys think about Aladdin in the game. Thank y'all for watching, and y'all take care.